The Bucks have started off the season as dominant as ever, as they currently hold the second best record in the league and in the Eastern Conference. And since the other side of my original finals pick has been a dumpster fire so far, I've become more and more confident that it will be the Bucks who walk away with the 2023 title. Let's talk about why. I think this year's Bucks team has the potential to be the best version of this Bucks team that we have seen around Giannis thus far. Let's talk about their defense first, which is where they really hang their hat. And really, that's been where they've hung their hat the past couple of seasons, including, of course, their 2021 championship. But it feels like they're an even better defensive team, which felt like it'd be damn near impossible to be the case. As dominant as the Bucks have been defensively over the past few years, this is somehow the best iteration of that defense. At least a couple of weeks ago, the Bucks were #1 at paint defense in the league. I imagine that has been relatively the same, while also being #2 in three-point shot contests. I can tell you the eye test suggests they're definitely getting out there on the perimeter and, of course, definitely dominating the paint without question. Usually defense is a trade-off in the NBA. It is not easy to be elite on both the inside and the outside defensively, and with the Bucks historically, they have been an interior-minded defensive team that gave up shots on the perimeter. But now, not only can they do the interior thing that they've always been able to do, but they can also defend the perimeter and excel at it. With Drew locking down the perimeter alongside Wes Matthews and Jevon Carter, who's been a really big addition for them, and Brook Lopez's drop coverage paired with Giannis's all-time help defensive ability has the paint completely on lock. The Bucks have the least accessible paint in the entire league. I say that full well that Anthony Davis dropped like 40 plus on them, mostly on the paint, but you know, normally that's true. Real quick, if you end up enjoying this video, please be sure to give it a like to show that you liked it, and also subscribe if you want some more NBA content. I'm uploading daily in December. In the past, you could beat them on the perimeter. That's notoriously what the Miami Heat did against them in the bubble. Just 3 after 3 after 3 because the Bucks defense was programmed to overcommit to defending the paint. But they have realized that Brook Lopez and Giannis is more than enough paint protection to still be the best at it, and they can then focus their perimeter guys on the perimeter. There's no need for Chris Middleton to bring help defense in the paint when Brook Lopez and Giannis are there. Now that they've realized that, they're even more dominant. They have one lineup in particular with an insane defensive rating, that lineup being Drew Holiday, Jevon Carter, Grayson Allen, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Their overall defensive rating is pretty much exactly the same as the defensive rating the Warriors and the Celtics had last year, which, you know, I'd say that's a pretty good sign for making the finals, you know, because they did, point I was making. But defensive rating wise, those were two fantastic defensive teams. I would argue the Boston Celtics, when Robert Williams was healthy, was an all-time great defensive team, and I think the Bucks are right there with them. But enough of the defense. We all know that the Milwaukee Bucks play phenomenal defense. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. As for their offense, it feels like Budenholzer has finally struck the right balance with how Giannis is utilized, how much he should function as a big versus a ball handler on the perimeter. It has been a difficult balance, and I felt as though they leaned way too much on the perimeter aspect of things earlier on, but the Bucks have found that perfect mix to maximize Giannis's abilities as a player at this point. Their roster is built to allow Giannis to succeed at his strongest, and the system they're running is finally allowing him to freely be the best version of himself. And mind you that all of this has been with the Bucks not having their second best player. They just got Chris Middleton back against the Lakers. They have been the second best team record-wise without their second best player. Now, the offense overall could use some improvement. They are currently 17th on that end of the floor, which is definitely far from ideal and easily the biggest knock you would put on this team going into the playoffs. However, reminder, missing their second best player, I mean, I guess some people think Drew Holiday is better than Chris Middleton, but second best player. And honestly, I could almost spin that positively because that goes to show show just how good their defense is because they're still 5th in net rating, even though their offense is that mid. But honestly, I think you throw Chris Middleton back in there and just polish it up a little bit, put some more focus out in there, and suddenly that offense might not look so mediocre. I definitely think they can get to like 10th at some point. I really only think the Cavaliers are a team that can put up a defensive team that rivals the Bucks. The Celtics very well could do it to close the season, but they've not been very good on that end thus far and just been dominating the offensive side of the ball. But the Cavaliers currently have a better defensive rating by literally 0.1 over the Bucks. So it's not like it's by a huge margin, but with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell trying on that end, Dean Wade being really good two-way player, I definitely think it's possible that the Cavs can finish as the better defensive team by the end of the year. But, you know, the Bucks are, either way, they're awesome. Is the point. But you pair that incredible Milwaukee defense with Giannis being maximized on the offensive end, and it's becoming harder and harder for me to bet on any other team, and that's with the league being as stacked as it is. However, counter to that level of being stacked, at the same time, I feel like it's not as top heavy, and that leaves the Bucks pretty nearly alone towards the top. The Golden State Warriors are still fighting to be solidly in the playoffs. The Clippers, who knows when Kawhi is back, as well as Paul George. And the Suns, they just don't scare me. They really never have. The Cavs are cool, but I don't think they have it. Probably just too young, and it wouldn't be quite their time. The Clippers, the Sixers, and Nets, I am quite confident the Milwaukee Bucks are better than. The Nuggets are the team in the West that probably has the best shot, but where do they even really begin with defending Giannis? They're not hopeless in that department, but they're not exactly, you know, built to defend that guy. And the only team that I really feel possesses a serious threat to this team is the Boston Celtics. But that is a video for another day, I think. I do very much look forward to that conference or second round matchup, whichever it ends up being, probably the conference finals between those two, because the clash of really good offense and not so great defense and really great defense and not so great offense, they're the perfect equalizers for each other, and it should be a very compelling series. But I do think who wins the title this year is going to come down to that conference finals matchup, and personally for me, I have the Milwaukee Bucks walking away with the W in that hypothetical. They have been dominating the win column, and it has not been in an unsustainable way by any means. Everything about their dominance feels entirely replicable over the rest of this long season and throughout the postseason. In fact, I think there is a real chance that this Bucks team goes down as one of the best of all time. If you don't like this prediction for the 2023 championship, well, I can at least give you this. I have never correctly guessed it. So, yeah, good note to end the video on. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.